What's up, everybody? We're back after after a sabbatical. Feels like a sabbatical. It's been about a month since we've done anything. Oh, look. Hey, I got new lower thirds. I forgot I put those in there. Cool.
New lower thirds. Down. Oh, your panels?
Oh, yeah. There they go. And they got motion in them. That's so cool. You know, technology is just, it's a cool thing, you know? And we're geeks, so we like the technology. Yeah. So the more I use Ecamm, the more I love it because you could just do so much with it. But in any case, so we're back. We're live. It's Tuesday. What is it? Tuesday, June
3rd. 13th.
June 13th.
13th. June
13th. And the world's ending in 2 days.
Is that the case?
I think so. That's what all the kids are saying. The world's ending in 2 days. Okay. So, either there will be a civil war because Trump finally got arrested, like officially arrested, or Russia's going to launch some nukes over at NATO because Ukraine's finally like invading or whatever. It's 2 days. 2 days, people. Or the solar flares. The solar flare is just going to like come and take out technology, and it's over anyway. So I'm predicting 2 days. So
many possibilities.
Get your affairs in order, people.
Yeah, which one do you want? Just pick one.
Just pick one. Pick one out of a hat. Would you rather have? Actually, this is a great thought experiment. Would you rather have complete total technological annihilation from a solar flare? Would you rather have a small scale, I'm not saying global nuclear war, but maybe like a couple cities in the United States get nuked or whatever, which sends everything into chaos? Would you rather have Yellowstone explode? Or would you, the internal like civil war because, Trump gets arrested and people just go crazy over that? Like, what would you have? What would be your preferred end of the world scenario? I'm curious. I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask that question. What would you prefer?
No. Out of all the years of prepping so far, you always know what people are prepping for, usually for a specific topic.
Yeah.
But not once has somebody been like, this is the preferred method of going out.
Right?
I would say, oh gosh, I would prefer to keep technology. I mean, having a freezer to preserve food and not have to like keep my ice stored for long periods of time would be nice. So yeah. Keeping air conditioning. It's hot outside. Now it's cold. I don't know what's up with this weather. I mean, it's obviously because of all the solar stuff and whatever. But it was like 90 something degrees and now it's like 60 something degrees. So I would say probably my scenario would be if there was, some cities that ended up getting hit and, there's some war and turmoil that way, I'm not buying any big cities. It's really bad to say.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
That's really horrible. But, if I'm picking a scenario, there's always like slow clap stuff like financial or semis, not getting gas to you or whatever. But
that's the boring stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like one of those just boom, it hits. Like we're in World War III. So yeah. Is it like 4 by now? I feel like it's been ongoing for so long. Like
I don't know. People already say we're already in World War III. It's one of those things where like it depends on whoever you ask. For me,
exactly.
Maybe I prefer Yellowstone just blowing up. Because we still technically will have electricity and stuff. We just won't be able to grow anything for the next 100 years. And there's aquaponics and,
growing food is kind of a big deal.
It is. It is kind of a big deal. But I have a freeze dryer, so I'm good. I'm good for the next. I'm good. Listen.
Just grab some bugs, throw them in the freeze dryer. You're good.
Grab your cricket protein, throw them in the freeze dryer. You're good. You're good. No, but on a serious note,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
The one I heard today, which has been out there for a long time, is the Meridian fault line. That's like Tennessee, Atlanta, whatever.
I think that's Meridian.
That Meridian, if that thing ends up having issues, imagine splitting the nation in half. You don't need a civil war. It's literally a act of God, an act of nature. Just taking its course. So
I kind of want the fault line on the West Coast to go, because California just needs to split off and just be its own thing anyway.
I mean, they've been saying they want to be their own state for, I can't tell you how long, or their own country or whatever.
Let them go. Don't even fight. Just let them go. So, no, but in any case, lots been going on. We took about a month off. It's summertime. So
yeah, what are some things that you've been doing over the last few weeks?
For me, I was just kind of chilling, man. I bought a fishing kayak. Specifically designed for fishing. We used to go fishing.
I think you were like tricking that out and stuff too.
Oh yeah, you have to. Like, and of course, whenever I do anything, I just go way over the top. Technically, to go fishing in a kayak, you really just need a kayak and a fishing pole. But of course, in my stupidity, I'm like, I need a pedal drive, so I don't have to have an oar that I gotta do this. I gotta pedal with my feet. I almost splurged for like the whole GPS, like electronic thing where you like
click a button, the fish for you.
Yeah, well, I'll get into that, but like, no, there's these. Okay. They're called I forget what they're called, but anyway, it's like a trolling motor. It's got GPS on it. You basically just hit a point on a lake and you go, I want to go there, and the motor just takes you there, and you're like, I want to anchor here. You're not dropping an anchor, but the trolling motor will literally keep you in one spot, so you don't have to drop an anchor and scare the fish. The motor it's called spot lock. The motor just keeps you there, and you can just fish, and then as long as you have battery, you can truck 15-20 miles on a lake in a day. It's great.
That's interesting.
They're expensive though.
I could see I bet. That's what is that? Probably $1,500, $200, $2,000 probably.
Yeah, I multiply it by 2.5. Yeah, it's like $5,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just in mine alone. I think mine, after everything, I mean, just the kayak alone was like $2,500, and then you went and you had fish finder, because I'm an electronics guy, I'm a technical guy, so of course I'm putting a fish finder on it.
What are we preparing for?
But until then, I could still enjoy technology and fishing, and take the sport out of fishing altogether, and have fish finders to find the fish and just throw in some bait and just catch them, right? So I put the fish finder in, all the electronic switch, like I put a whole electronic dashboard in this thing for lights and cameras, because I was like, I'll just film some of this stuff and just throw it up there as some, for the channel and all that. So, I have mounts for cameras and all that stuff on it. It's cool, and I have plans for it. So, got that. Went fishing a few times. Really enjoyable. Like, even like, all kidding aside, there is no, at least in my perspective, in this world of craziness, in this world of nutso, news everywhere, doom and gloom, all this stuff, there is nothing like shutting everything off, getting out on a lake, for me at least, getting out on a lake, throwing some line out with some bait, and going fishing. Like, even if you don't catch anything, that's okay. It's just the piece you get being on a lake. For me, that's a good recharge. Just chill in a kayak. You're by yourself, and you're just fishing. I mean, it's a complete recharge. You're getting outdoors. You're doing stuff outside of normal day to day. The normal grind of life. Mm-hmm. So whatever that is, like fishing, camping. I know you guys went camping.
I completely agree. Yes, exactly.
Even if you're not a camping guy, but still, get outside, do something.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And as we try to get more and more to that point where we're self-sustaining, self-sufficient, that kind of stuff, in the technology realm, things are go, 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 go at all times. So having that time to unwind it's needed. I just took my family camping. We actually went to Mammoth Caves this past weekend, which if you haven't been, highly recommend. It's the longest cave chain in the United States. I think it's like 420 miles of underground cave network. Just, massive. But, and I overpacked. I think I'm going to always overpack. I need all my medical supplies. I need all my food supplies.
Your car looked like it was ready for the apocalypse.
Yeah. I'll try to find some pictures for the people that are, watching us live on YouTube and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you can imagine your car with like what you would normally take for camping and multiply it times like 4. Like this dude's, you couldn't see through any of the dude's back windows at all.
Oh, but the cool thing is my Jeep, so we got our Jeep back finally after months of not having it from a car accident. Finally got it back. I always find all these new features for the Jeep that makes me realize I bought a super bougie vehicle without even knowing it. But you flip, like the little dimmer latch on your mirrors that like flip up the mirror so you don't have like the brights in your eyes from your people's headlights. Not for the 2022 models and higher. You flip that now and it does your back cameras for your vehicle. So you don't need to have vision through your your rearview mirror through your back window. No, who needs that?
Who needs that anymore?
We had stuff literally packed. Behind my boys' heads was a wall. I mean, every square inch, every square centimeter was just packed.
Oh, it was.
I took every sweatshirt and sock, you name it, just stuffed it in there as much as possible.
Oh, it was definitely packed. I can attest to that junk.
Here we go. This wasn't like the final result. Let me share my screen here. Yeah. All right. Share screen. Photos. So this was when there was space. But then we get done and you would think you'd like gain space after your trip. That wasn't the case. But I mean, this was like the back of my kids, like above their heads. Don't mind the fishing poles and hooks and stuff coming off of them, or
that's stinking pack, bro. I mean, you got the EcoFlow in there, whatever that cat. What is that cat device? Is that a jumper?
It's a 2-in-1. I almost didn't bring it. So as you and I start doing technology and get more and more into it, we always try to downsize, right? But this was my very first emergency unit that I bought for my vehicle. It jumpstarts your car, as well as has a air compressor built into it, so you can blow up your tires. It's got power banks built into it, so it's got USB or regular outlets. It's got your lights. It does everything. Okay, so that was the very first unit I bought for the car because you need one. And then I don't have one in here now. Or I don't have a picture to show you, but now I've got this tiny little power brick, which I'm glad I took because I end up having to jumpstart somebody's car at the campgrounds. Went and used the bathroom. 2 ladies and their 5 kids went for a random camping trip, and they couldn't. Their car was, the doors were left open and all that kind of stuff, so they couldn't get out. And so I ended up taking my little device and I said, this is the first time I've gotten to use it, but this can jumpstart your car. And, the problem for them is they had 2 vehicles. They were trying to jumpstart the car that was dead. But the new cars, the way that they're made now, it has like this, when you open up the hood, there's like a big piece of black plastic that covers the engine because they don't want you to like scrape your arm on the inside of the hood or burn yourself on the engine or something like that. So we actually had to take that whole piece off and take off their engine filter just to get to the battery.
Oh, my
worst
God.
Design in the world, but my little power brick came to save the day. So
one thing I noticed when you sent me the pictures is the 2 random toilet paper rolls here.
Those were last minute additions for my wife. She was like, oh, we need toilet paper. Make sure you add this. Oh, make sure you add this. So whether it was her adding stuff into it or me adding stuff into it, it just kept on getting fuller and fuller.
Yeah.
But we've got the bug out bag there. It was my wife's first time. Well, technically her second time ever going camping. And I'm trying to get her to, actually enjoy the process and not want to never do it again for us. So I brought 2 blow up mattresses. So the boys were spoiled. I mean, they had blow up mattresses, or at least you would think they would be spoiled.
Right.
Because we had sheets and blankets and all that kind of stuff, but didn't know that both air mattresses had holes in them. So hers went like way down real fast because she slept with the youngest. And then mine, I had to refill every 4 hours, but luckily my dad came to save the day with his cots. He just had some regular Good old military cots.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those. You can't go wrong with those military cots, man. Those things. You don't have to worry about blowing them up or anything.
But to your point, that those recharge times are needed. So I took them out. We just wanted to get away from technology. I had technology with us, but it was more of a like pump up the air mattresses,
right?
Emergency stuff, keep the lanterns charged, that kind of stuff. But we disconnected from all technology. We went hiking. We did all sorts of stuff. So it was really good. Very short. I wish it was much longer. I think you had taken like a week or something like that when you went fishing, right? Or something like that. I know you were home and stuff, but
I kind of took a staycation and went fishing a couple days out of the week. A couple of those days were just testing the kayak out and getting all the bugs worked out. But yeah, the last time I went fishing was like a week or so ago, caught a couple fish.
Nice.
Caught a couple fish. Practicing brought them home, practicing, fillet skills and filleting a fish and then breading it, cooking it up.
Which I've still never done. So I might have to get some of those skills from you.
Just understand when you start filleting your first fish, you're going to jack it up. It's fine. It's totally cool. But eventually you get good at it. And really fresh fish, when you first catch it and, put it on ice right away, you bleed the fish, and then you go, when you're ready to dress it out, get your fillets out. Man, when you just like bread those up and cook those, man, it's so good. It's so good. It's just, I can't explain the taste of fresh fish versus like going to a restaurant and getting like a salmon or something. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my salmon, and I'll go order a salmon at any restaurant. But when you just you're getting perch, you're getting white bass, you're getting pike, anything like that, and you start filleting it up, it's just different.
It's different if you catch it. It's different if you grow it. It's different. Anytime you put the work into it, completely different taste.
It's just completely different tastes.
Yeah. And then, you don't know what's pumped into it. So going to go a little bit off topic here, but my son got a some kind of snack bar as a snack. Uh-oh, there's some dinging. Okay. My oldest got a snack for baseball, and inside the bar, it was like a chewy, kind of off-brand chewy bar. It said bioengineered material or something like that in the ingredients. I don't know. And when you see that, you're like, I'm not going to give that to my kid. Like, just put it in the trash. I don't want anybody eating that, because you don't know what they're putting in it these days. So if you have to now start looking at your labels because of that, who knows what they're pumping in the chickens and the fish and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's
got to make them bigger, right?
You got to make them bigger. It's just a completely different experience when you go catch it and dress it and eat it yourself. Just like with gardening, tomatoes taste different, and all just tastes different when you do it yourself. Speaking of like gardening and things like that, I know your trip was cut off short because of storms, which is, I think is a blessing in disguise, because the weather has been absolutely crazy the past couple weeks.
It has been.
We're in June right now, and we're up in Wisconsin. I'll say where I'm at. We're up in Wisconsin. And, you had 2-3 weeks there where it's like 90 plus degrees in June. No rain, no nothing. And I'm here trying to, get seeds in the ground. I'm getting corn in the ground, get my tomato starters out there, things like that. And one of the things that I really started worrying about, because I started watching like the weather patterns and how they're predicting a super El Nino, coming up, which is, when you're, at least in the north, it has to deal with polar patterns and all that stuff. Things change. It's a normal cycle of like, Earth. Is you have these, La Ninas and El Ninos, but occasionally you have this like super El Nino, which in my area, super El Nino based on the weather patterns this time equals less rain, hotter climate. And in the South, it's more rain. So like the South and some of the West, like the Southern Western hemisphere, the United States, like they're going to get a ton of rain, ton of storms, tornadoes, stuff like that. But in the North, it's like completely opposite. It's like super dry, almost drought level stuff. So I'm here in June, and last year I did a rain collection system. I put together a small system for a smaller garden rain collection, and I barely had to use it because we had occasional rainfall to water the garden. This year I'm like, we're not getting any rain. I'm just planted corn. Like 3 weeks go by, there's no rain. And my small little water collection system of, 300 gallons at the time wasn't going to cover, A, it wasn't filled because it hadn't rained. And B, it's like, okay, I just expanded my garden to over 5,000 square feet. How am I going to water this thing? I'm on a well, which you would think, hey, free water. You're on a well. Wells, you can pump a dry well you can pump a well dry if you're pumping a lot of water through it, because wells, the way they work is, there's an underground aquifer and there's only so much water in there. It does replenish itself, but you need like rain for it to replenish itself. And I was like, okay, I had maybe 300 or 400 gallons of water from previous rain in May. That was it. And for 300 gallons to try to water a 5,000 square foot garden, maybe it's like 3 days worth of water, 4 days worth of water. So I just expanded the water collection system to like 2,000 gallons, but I need rain to fill it up. So I'm like in a panic. Like, I just planted all this seed, all this garden. If I don't get any rain, this thing ain't going to grow. What am I going to do? So my solution was set up a drip system, and I started setting up a drip system because a drip system is way more water efficient because you're putting drips of water right at the plant root. And then every day for 15 minutes, I would turn on the well pump and try to fill up the water collection system. Just 15 minutes a day. I did it for this past week. And you get about, in that 15 minutes, it's going to pump 30, 40, 50 gallons maybe into the system. So it's a slow thing. It's not trying to fill it up all in one go. That way it gives time for the aquifer to kind of like replenish itself. And I was just at the point where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't want to run out of water in the well. Because if you dry out a well, like there's a chance it refills itself, but there's also a chance it collapses. And then you got to drill a new well. And that's like $20,000. And we don't have municipal water in our house. So if the well dries up and it collapses and it has no chance of refilling itself, I'm like, I don't have $20,000 lying around right now to go re-drill a new well. And that takes time. And water is like the most, you need water to shower, to drink, all that other stuff. So I don't know, it's been kind of a weird, it was unique in such a way to where you had to think outside the box. How do I water my garden with what I have? So it's a unique kind of experiment of like thinking how you can creatively water this garden using the tools you have, which is what prepping is essentially. You're thinking of a scenario that could potentially happen, and then, okay, how do I overcome that scenario? And you just work through the problem. And that was my solution of working through the problem. But luckily, the last 2 days, it has been raining, which is glorious. So I've been happy for
How quickly is it filling up for you?
I have not checked the water collection system the last 2 days because it's been raining, and I don't like getting wet. But I knew where it was at before it started raining. So I was at it was just about 75 gallons per container. And right now there's 5 containers hooked up. So 75 times 5, whatever that is. So I know where it was at. So when I go out tomorrow, whenever it stops raining, I'll see where it's at and see how much water fill that up. I'm hoping I have, at least, I'm hoping that line is at least at 100 gallons. So I'll have, 500 gallons of water. I'm hoping that's where the line's at, but hopefully it's more. It's been raining pretty consistently up here. So we'll see. We'll see where it lands. But that's the thing. Like, you adapt, you improvise, you adapt, you overcome. That's more of a military term, but it's the same with prepping. Like, you can't plan for every scenario, and you can't plan perfectly for what comes your way or what can potentially happen. You have to develop the skill set to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And we're only talking about like rainwater right now, but it's still a thing, whether it's rainwater or the power goes out, you have to learn how to adapt and prepare for that. So,
yeah. And usually you don't know when those scenarios are going to happen until it happens.
Right.
You set up an entire water collection system, which was great, not thinking of the possibility of it not raining at all. So same scenario for me.
We don't have droughts in Wisconsin.
Exactly. Same with, I had mentioned in the last podcast that I bought an extra freezer because I only had one freezer. And if that thing goes out, I'm toast. Yeah. And I just got that. It just got delivered today. glorious. It is huge. my wife was like, "This is way too big. You don't need this." And I wish I would have. Actually, I did take a picture. I forgot.
Yeah, you sent me some pictures of that.
I did. I didn't sync it on my phone or anything yet, but
no, dude, I got you, bro. They are right stinking.
But we already started syncing, or yeah. So we already started filling it up. Basically, like the door is all pig. I think we've got a quarter pig that we just filled the door with, and part of the like main freezer. And then we took all of our not old beef, but the last half cow that we bought.
Yeah.
The remaining of that to fill in here, and then my new cow is actually ready to get. I got another half cow, so I need to call and get that picked up. But I had nowhere to put it, so that's why I needed this freezer. But to your point, it's not until you run into that scenario of like, crap, I don't have any additional space, or I don't have any of this. If this goes down, what happens? As you can see there, a big difference. I don't mind the messy garage. You just unloaded the car, but you can see the huge difference in size.
Yeah, I just little chest freezer versus that big one.
I just doubled my capacity in one unit. So super excited for that. But anywho,
let me get back
trying to think what else is new. Went camping. I got a Fitbit. I try to stay away from Fitbit because it was very you had to use their system with their counter and their, whatever to get it to work properly. If it goes out, you're screwed. It only worked well with the apps that they wanted to work well with. But it's owned by Google now, and it syncs with pretty much everything. So
wait, Fitbit's owned by Google now?
I didn't know that either until I got the Fitbit in the mail. So
okay.
Yeah, I can link it with my Google Fit and all that kind of stuff now, which I couldn't before. But that was my Father's Day present to myself. So thanks to my family and my wife for that.
I don't think I deserve a Father's Day present to myself because I just bought a really expensive kayak. So I think that's my Father's Day present is the kayak.
There you go. Yeah. Sometimes,
I think we're.
You got exactly what you wanted. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're good there. But I'm going to send you a link though. Shifting. I don't know if we're shifting topics. We're just kind of off the cuff now because, I work best with off the cuff. I'm going to send you a link. Listen, I watched over the weekend, I think it was Sunday. And so obviously if you're watching this, this is a prepping channel. We talk about emergency preparedness and different things you can do to, prepare for certain scenarios. So, and we mainly prepare, like I said, we mainly prepare for like our main thing is like, solar flares and stuff, because that seems to be the most likely to happen in the next 10 years or whatever is solar flare comes and takes that technology. But there's other things that can happen that are out of our control. Like, for example, nuclear Armageddon. You have people talking about nuclear Armageddon. There's plenty of like YouTube channels talking about nuclear Armageddon. Well, Russia, Ukraine, that's going to lead to World War III, nuclear Armageddon. Okay, I get that. And that's a viable thing to potentially prepare for is, how do you survive nuclear Armageddon? So this is YouTube channel I watch. It's an animated channel. It's called, it's the infographic channel. He puts out really good content. And he put out this like 5-hour video. And you would think I'm not sitting through a 5-hour video. I found myself, I sat through the entire 5 hours because it was that good. It was, I survived 1,000 days after nuclear war. And he went through it. Hey, day one through day 5, this is the scenario. He told the story, and he walked through the story of how there's this guy who's just an average Joe who ended up surviving nuclear Armageddon through the entire 1,000 days. And he goes through this like chunks of time, and he tells this really compelling story. And it's really engaging, and you don't think you're watching 5 hours worth of content, but next thing you know, you've just watched 5 hours worth of content. I'll send you the link. It's super good.
I already looked it up. I've got it.
You did? You did? Yeah, it's like 5 hours long, but I find myself is really good. But the story he told, yes, it's a fictional story. It's a scenario-based story. But the concepts of how he tells the story, I kind of look back and go, okay, if this scenario were to happen, because he didn't say it's like his whole initial like nuclear Armageddon wasn't we launch all the nukes we have at Russia and Russia launched all the nukes we have and we just completely annihilate each other. It was a 2-year long tit for tat. they took out a city, we took out a city. They took out 2 cities, we took out 2 cities. And like, so it wasn't like an all one day, every city in America was literally destroyed by nuclear war. It was the dude, they're the fictional characters in California, lights go out, there's a big bang, he gets thrown on the floor, he realizes that something has happened, there's been a nuclear detonation, he has no contact with the outside world as far as like getting updates on what's going on, so he's trying to survive this, so sheltering in place for 15 days, so the radiation kind of is safe to walk outside, and he, his neighbors, he finds his neighbors, and he starts talking about the importance of like having community when it comes, and then how to like the importance of like water, food, and all, and it's really well told to the point where if that scenario ever happened, how he portrayed it was very realistic on how it could potentially go for an average individual. I just thought it was super good.
It looks good. And I could say I'm glad some people do this where they actually put themselves in that kind of scenario or think about that process. What would I do in this kind of scenario?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't think about that kind of stuff. And when you start thinking about those, you're like, there's a lot of people that don't prep at all. And they say, hey, if this kind of scenario happens, I'm just going to be the lone wolf and I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to be surviving on my own, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're dead.
That's usually not how it works out.
No,
Yeah,
you're toast.
When you get a lot of people, you get a community, they're helping each other out. You're not going to be a master of everything. You're not going to be the master hunter who can get all of his own food or her food. And you're not going to be the person to make your clothes or sew your clothes. You can only do so much when it comes to prepping. Doesn't matter. You can have a lot of money and you can buy a bunch of stuff, sure. But if you don't have the skills to survive in that kind of scenario, then what are you going to do? So this is cool. Yeah. I mean, definitely you could tell they use some kind of like animation program because it's like little stick figures with like
that's all his videos are.
It's actually pretty good.
It's his videos are all animation. He goes through relevant current content like the war in Ukraine. Anybody scenarios things out in such a way that it's not doom and gloom fear mongering, but it's realistic scenarios like this could happen based on the evidence of what's going on in like real world. And he even referenced in that 5-hour series, like,
almost
Ukraine,
6 hour.
Almost 6 hours.
5 hours and 45. Yeah.
Yeah. Ukraine, Russia, like he hits on the fact of community and all that. And he doesn't directly say, like, it's not an educational thing. It's more of he's telling a story, but if you have the prepared mind, you pick up on like, oh, he's talking about community. He's talking about water. He's talking about this. And it's just really good. And when you start getting into like days 3 and 400, when he starts talking about the factions that rise up, and he had a really unique take on one of the factions that rise up, was a Soldiers of the Dawn or some new like faction that was really, really big on how, and the leader was like, she allowed in the community, she allowed cannibals and she allowed slavers. Cause he talks about bringing back slavery, like, cause that's how societies start. Societies start with really bad people. And then eventually you start societies with slavery and all that stuff. But then eventually as you unite those different groups, you start phasing some of those things out, kind of like how society. Anyway, it's really, really good. You should watch it. It may take you a few days. For me, I binged it in one day and it was great. Super. I will
definitely take a look. I'll probably put it on like speed 1.5 because that's what I normally do to get through videos faster.
Speed 1.5. Get it through in 3 hours instead of 6 hours, or 4.5 instead of 6 hours. But it was a really good video. But as I'm taking a break and then as I'm getting back, like when I took my break, I didn't completely disconnect like I did last time. Like I still stayed relevant on what's going on in the world. A lot of things have developed. You have, just even recently in the last 24 hours, obviously Trump got indicted. I just saw a tweet before we came on I
haven't been watching any of this stuff. So,
so Trump got officially
the last probably
indicted.
4 days, I have no details on anything. The only thing I saw was Ben's, another solar flare launched off, luckily in the opposite direction. But that's pretty much all I know. I've been just spamming content on fishing and how to set up a lure and how to set up a bobber and how to do this, that. So
I mean, there's a lot of world events that have happened that people should take note of. You know, the whole Trump indictment thing. Like, sure, that however you look at it, whether it's politically motivated or whatever. I just read a tweet before we came on that he finally got officially like arrested. I don't know what that means, but what are the repercussions of that with all of the people that support him? Is that going to lead to like protests and violence and all that other stuff? You know, obviously you got the Ukraine offensive that now people are saying has officially launched, and the Ukraine offensive is them taking back not only the territory that they've lost, but potentially taking back the territory that was taken from them back in 2014 or whenever Russia came in the first time, which to a lot of people is a red line where Russia goes, oh, no, you're not doing that. So tactical nukes get involved, and there's all kinds of like NATO exercises going on right now. There's a massive air exercise. Yeah, there's a massive air exercise, I think in Poland or whatever, right on Russia's border. And everybody's like, this is a prelude to something. So there's a lot of things to pay attention to, not to really be scared about, but just to pay attention to, because it's just keeping your eye on your finger on the pulse of like what's going on. So there's that. Obviously,
you don't want to be caught completely off guard.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like me where you haven't watched a single thing and then like you randomly hear it or see it through a Facebook post like, oh crap, we're actually in a war and there's something coming at us.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in that scenario when it happens.
Yeah. And obviously there's the markets, you know, people, I mean, that's not really news, but you know, the markets are the economy, stuff like that, inflation, all that other stuff.
The one thing I did see is basically the whole West Coast, all of the ports, there's a huge strike all along the entire Western coast, Seattle, California, all the ports. I don't know if you saw that. That's the one thing I did see. But there are strikes taking place from all of the workers at all of the ports on the West Coast. And so they're saying, you know, that means no supplies coming in for food and that kind of stuff. So if you're going to be stocking up on food, make sure you're grabbing some food now, just in case for the scenario of, okay, if we have a week or 2 weeks of no new stock coming in,
that's going to
get things
supply
fixed.
Chain, for sure.
Yeah. Make sure you're grabbing that stuff now. Sure. So that's the only real scenario that I've heard of so far.
Well, another thing that's going to affect the supply chain potentially is all of the wildfires in Canada. I think there's millions of acres burning right now. And there's air, like I'm in Wisconsin, we're getting air quality alerts all over the place. And I just saw a map the other day of like the air quality and, you know, a picture of Canada and the US and where the worst parts are. And like the East Coast is like getting hit with really they were highlighted in red, like really bad air quality. And they're like talking about doing lockdowns of those states and cities of like, don't like almost like with COVID, like don't leave your house, don't go to work. Like, or you're being locked down because of air quality. Like they're actually talking about that stuff.
And I never understand that. Like if people want to go out, let them go out. If they want to get sick, if they want to get endangered, whatever the case may be, that is your right to go do. I don't understand the whole.
You could have made that argument with the COVID lockdowns, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you get to a point where people are locking you in your home against your will,
for your own safety, because they know better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just the dumb sheep.
Just more and more scenarios that I don't understand. I'm one of those people that thinks different from everybody else, but
I mean, but it's more reason to like.
I'm curious on the fires because I did see that, and I've heard it from my wife. You know, all these fires, and then she was asking me like, "All right, Cam, have you been seeing anything on the back end? Because we've got all of our prepper communities, and we've got a lot of
our back channels.
I do say, our back channels." We do see a lot of behind the scenes information. People are constantly posting, here's some live footage or here's some content, here's some this. I mean, I did see and you can't always trust everything you see. You have to actually do the research yourself. But when you see a helicopter dumping fire into the forest, you could think of one of two things. Are they creating another fire to stop another fire from happening? Or are they actually the ones that are causing the fire? I mean, normally you kind of cut down some trees and make a trench and then start the fire to extinguish it out.
Listen,
so that it
I'm an
doesn't
expert.
Continue for
No. I'm an expert at this, and this is why I'm an expert at this, because my wife watches a show called Fire Country, and they go through all of this. I'm telling you. Listen,
Good.
they start
my
fires.
wife watches it too. So
they start fires to block fires. It's a thing. It's called a fire line. You know, if you need some education on this, people, you just go on Netflix, look at Fire Country. You'll learn everything.
And I've seen it. But if you are starting it, doesn't it spread in both directions? If you
don't know, man.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Usually you create that line first of no additional trees around, so that when it starts the fire going back towards the fire that already is coming at it, it extinguishes itself. But so, seeing that scenario, seeing other scenarios where, arson and people are coordinating these efforts for it being that large and starting in so many areas. I won't get into all the conspiracy theories and that kind of stuff, but interesting content out there from the stuff that I did see.
Right.
On how it started and
regardless of who's starting them or whether it's some, whatever the scenario is, the outcome's still the outcome. There is a record number of wildfires going on. There's a record number of air quality, pollution, whatever, going into the atmosphere that's supposedly affecting our everyday lives. At least what the Surgeon General of the United States says. It's the takeaway from all of that, whether you believe it or not, whether you buy into it or not. I mean, you can't argue facts. There's a record number of wildfires in Canada. It's wildfire season. This just happens to be the kickoff to this Canadian wildfire season has been an epic kickoff, because there is just, it's already shattering wildfire records in Canada, and we've just kicked off the season. The takeaway is that now it's a good time to you could just take that one scenario of wildfires and go, how are my preps doing? Do I got water? Do I got food? Let's not lax on this stuff.
You have a fire extinguisher for your
house.
Do
you have a fire extinguisher for your stinking house? That's, I mean, I look around, I'm like, shoot, I may got one or two, but I should probably check the dates on those, and you can get them on Amazon.
One per floor, major areas, your garage, stuff like that. Yeah,
I got fire extinguishers. Just check your basics out. Even if you're not a stinking prepper, you think we're freaking crazy, it's fine. You can still check your supplies. You don't have to be like me and have a 2-year supply of toilet paper. You don't have to be me. Okay. But you may want a couple extra. You may want to have a couple extra packages from Sam's Club. You may want to have more than, I think I got 30 or 45 gallon jugs of water, which is to most people, my mailman 2 weeks. That's what happened. Mailman came, and I'm outside because I took a week off, so I'm outside hanging out, mowing the yard, doing yard work. Had the garage open and the water stored in the garage for now until we get the basement remodeled. Yeah, and garage is open. He had a package. Now, normally he delivers his mail on the street because the mailbox is at the street, but whenever there's a package from Postal Service, he pulls in the driveway. And I met the guy. I talked to him. Every time he does pull in, if I'm outside, I'll give him a water, give him something. He's like, man, that's a lot of water you got in your garage. I'm like, yeah, my wife just doesn't like drinking city water. I said something stupid to him. And he's like, you guys must really like water. Because if I show you pictures of how many water jugs we have in the garage, you would think we're absolutely freaking nuts, but there's a lot in there. But it's that concept of I don't drink the well water. I have the ability to filter and make it taste good, but my wife just likes the bottled water. So that's one of the things we added to the prep board, is just make sure we have X amount of water for in case there are shortages, because even if it's not end of the world, we've already experienced through COVID that there are shortages on certain items. Toilet paper, yes, everybody knows the toilet paper shortage, but there are shortages on other things. We've talked about this in the past. Even now, you go to the store in the produce section and they have scaled that stuff way down. I remember the produce section used to be massive in the Walmarts and stuff. Now it's it's hardly anything, so shortages are possible, even if it's not the end of the world. And that's more reason to grow your own food, stock up, buy extra cans of X, Y, and Z, just for those times, because if history says one thing, or if history is a teacher of anything, it's that all of this stuff is, if I can quote from one of my favorite TV series, Battlestar Galactica, all of this stuff has happened before, all of it will happen again, and there's nothing we can do to change it. So in any case, there's my 2 cents. That's it.
Well, and just for the people that don't know right now, shortages wise, I heard something recently that grapes are a big thing, but they also, so corn, lettuce, avocados, broccoli and cauliflower and tomatoes are all already, they've been on the shortage list.
Yeah.
But now we've got grapes, watermelon, and something else, like because of the weather, not a lot of rain, not a lot of whatever. It's been constantly dry. And then I know like wheat and bread and that kind of stuff, because we have a big supply here in the Midwest where you get the, why am I forgetting the grain lane? Why am I forgetting the name of it in the middle of the nation? The wheat belt.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where a majority of our wheat comes from, but a lot of it's being sent overseas. Not a lot of it's coming in. So you have to think of all the deals that were made last year into this year, as well as this year.
Yeah.
What materials or food we would normally have that we don't have right now.
Right.
So keep that in mind as well. Yeah. I know you and I, we tend to prepare for those kind of scenarios, what kind of food, but even we take a break from it. And I mean, I just went and looked at my stock, and we have no more pasta noodles because we eat every like Monday or once a week, I should say. The boys want spaghetti. And so we do a box of spaghetti noodles, a box of sauce, a box of diced tomatoes. Well, when you just keep on using what you have in stock without replenishing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah. I rarely go grocery shopping with my wife. But when I do, like I went a couple weeks ago, I went with her, and we just went for a couple things. I think we were wanting to do burgers that night. I'm like, we don't have any buns, so let's just go together and spend some quality time together and go grocery shopping for buns. And
$300 later.
No freaking joke. I'm like, okay, we need to get some buns. And I'm looking at $5 a package for freaking buns. I'm like, $5 for 8 buns. Like, I remember this stuff used to be like $1.75, $2, and they're $5. So I texted my sister, and I was like, listen, because my sister is really big on making her own bread. Like, she's got the wheat berries and the flour grinder and all that. I don't have any of that stuff yet. It just hasn't been on the top of my list of like, hey, let's start storing wheat berries so we can make bread, right? In the apocalypse, I don't care about bread, right? I just care about like, give me my protein and all that. So but I text her, I'm like, hey, like, and I hate wheat bread. Like, I hate the taste of wheat bread. I'm like, hey, is there a way that I can make wheat bread that doesn't taste like wheat bread? That's more of where, like, you're the bread connoisseur here. What can I do? What do I have to do?
Sourdough is away from the wheat, but
yeah. So, but the berries, like the actual wheat berries, in wheat, gotcha. the bulk wheat berries are even becoming. It's not harder to find them; they're just in less supply right now. So the prices are going up of like bulk wheat berries and all of this stuff. And we've said it before, is like frog in boiling water. So it's a slow thing. So people don't wake up one day and go, "Oh my gosh, this stuff is. I need to." No, every day things change. Things go up a little bit. They go up a little bit, little less here and there. And it's a frog in boiling water. And people, they don't realize if they step out and actually look at things from a 30,000 foot view, they can see, comparatively speaking to previous years, talking pre-COVID, that there is definitely, if you look at pre-COVID levels, and I'm not talking about prices, I'm just talking about availability. They look at pre-COVID availability for anything across the spectrum, consumer goods in general, versus today. And there's a lot happened since COVID, Ukraine war, all this other, like everything that's happened between pre-COVID and now. There's definitely, when you take that perspective of looking into pre-COVID to now, you can see that, yes, things are way different, but people aren't talking about it because it's been slow. It's been a slow decline in availability of consumer goods, and a very slow increase in the cost of consumer goods. And people they're not making that connection because it's such a slow thing. I mean, you think about it, COVID was 3 years ago. So, anyway,
it was pretty funny. Yesterday when I was, I coach pretty much every day. I'm at the Baseball Diamonds every day of the week, Monday through Friday. 3 games that I'm coaching this week alone. But yesterday, one of the moms that got snacks for the kids for after the game, she was like, "Oh my gosh, these little fudge rounds, I remember they used to be so much bigger." I'm like,
right?
Yeah. Inflation, shrinkflation, okay? 2 big things. Keep that in mind. Look at the toilet paper. I'm just looking at as I'm restocking toilet paper, I'm like, man, the rolls are so much bigger. It's the exact same package. Mm-hmm. And I'll have to send a picture or have a picture for our next podcast because I put them side by side and it's like 40 something sheets less between the two. You can tell they're much smaller rolls, but you're getting charged more than when you get charged back when you purchased it. And it's less product. But great example of, here you go, shrinkflation plus inflation. But as you were talking about food products, my wife was like, I'm just craving Taco Bell. Can you give me Taco Bell? And I'm like, that's just disgusting. Like, fast food has just gone way downhill since then. But I was like, okay, fine, I'll go get your Taco Bell. She ordered online. I went and picked it up. And of course, I'm sitting in the line like, man, now I'm hungry.
Yep.
I'm just going to get just 2 tacos, just 2 soft taco Supremes. I don't need a whole bunch, whatever. 2 soft taco Supremes was $5.50. For 2 tacos.
No, I ranted about this one podcast. I ranted specifically about Taco Bell, where Taco Bell for $9 back in the day, you can get 20 hard shell tacos. Feed me and the boys after basketball, right? Now you go get a 20 pack of tacos. It's not $9 anymore. It's $29 or some stupid crazy thing. For me to feed my fat butt at Taco Bell, if I'm starving, to feed me easily $18 at Taco Bell, fast food. Do you know what I can eat for $18 if I just made it myself? Even with inflation, inflation, shrinkflation, all that stuff for $18. If I went to Kroger or any grocery store, I can get a decent cut of meat, some potatoes and some green beans and cook that up and have food left over for the next day.
Tortillas, ground beef, that stuff to make your own tacos at home. Yeah. $6 compared to $20.
And I can go to Taco Bell and order 1 taco and grab 50 hot sauce packages and stock up on those because I love the hot sauce packages.
They just they hand them out anyways. They're like, you need more, and they just hand you a whole.
They haven't started charging for those yet, which I think those are coming. You start getting charged for ketchup and mustard and sauce packages. It's coming. Some places are already doing it. They're charging you 40 cents for I go into a Quick Trip, which is a convenience gas, kind of like a 7-Eleven up here in Wisconsin. They always have they have really good chicken fingers. Oh my gosh, they're so good. And they're decently priced. But to get me some ranch or honey mustard,
gas station chicken fingers.
No. Oh man. No, it's good. They should be their own restaurant. So it's that good.
Gotcha. Okay. So they're good quality stuff. I just think of a gas station, a nasty gas station. They got the hot dogs on the rollers that have been there for the last 16 hours.
Nope. They change out the hot dogs. Yes, they do try to sell them, but they always sell them discounted. So I can go at 11 o'clock a.m. and go get the 7 a.m. Breakfast burritos or something. And if you go at 7 a.m., they're $3.49 a piece. If you go at 11 a.m., they mark them down to $2.25. So I'll go at 11 a.m., have a brunch of a couple breakfast burritos and maybe a sausage, ham, and egg biscuit, and maybe $6, and I'm full. But in any case, point is when you're doing chicken fingers, they have the sauce packets, the round ones you dip in, but they're 40 cents. So if I want 2 honey mustard, it's going to cost me about $1 to get honey mustard with my $6.50 3 chicken tenders. Anyway,
I mean, I get it. I just came up from Kentucky, and they've got Raising Cane's, which I love. Raising Cane's. They're chicken. I just had their lemonade for the first time.
Oh yeah, Raising Cane's that's legit.
I did a sweet tea lemonade Arnold Palmer mix, which is by far now my new favorite. I used to just get the sweet tea, but I have to get the Arnold Palmer every time now. Arnold Palmer. But yeah, they charge for the Raising Cane sauce, which is fine, but it's going to be like that for every fast food.
I'll take Raising Cane's over Chick-fil-A, hands down, any day. Any day.
Yeah.
So
I'm almost preferring Popeyes over Chick-fil-A as well.
Ooh,
just that crisp.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay. I get you.
I mean, at least in our area.
At least in your area. I don't know. It's been a hot minute since I had some Chick-fil-A. So, but we have them all over up here. But anyway, holy cow!
What else is new? Hey, we're going off the cuff. Okay, it's been a long time since we've talked at all. Yeah. So we kind of have to fill in for what we've been missing out on.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I started looking at, so we go back and forth between moving and not moving, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I started looking back at Colorado again, or at least out west in the Rockies. So I was like, oh, nope, we're moving to Appalachian. We're moving to like West Virginia because my wife doesn't want to be too far from family, but I rewatched the disaster playlist and I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, we need to be high, 3,500 feet minimum.
Yeah, you should.
I don't even know what the actual height is, but like looking at the lowest elevation of Colorado is like 3,300 feet or something like that, and it's blue on his map. I'm like, okay, it's got to be 3,500 then at least minimum. So
at least minimum 3,500 feet.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't think we have 3,500 feet in Wisconsin. I think the highest we have is 15 something, because I was looking at some properties, stuff like that. But at this point, right now in our lives, when the solar flare does hit, I know we have at least a decade before the next cycle of the really bad stuff comes. So,
right.
I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I don't know.
I started reading all the comments in the section, and so many people are just on the mindset of like, oh, I wouldn't even want to live during that time frame, or that's just God saying that,
it's time
Jesus
to go.
is going to come and take you, and it's time to go. And that's great and all, but I would love for my boys to continue their life. I'd love my family to just keep on moving on, whether it's a hard struggle or not. Civilization and humankind always survives these events.
Yeah.
But
you may not want to go
just
on.
like not wanting to give up.
Yeah, you may not want to go on, but your kids probably don't have the same mindset as you do. They probably want to live.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Like we've spent 35 plus years on this earth and we've experienced this, and this. I want to make sure my kids have some kind of adult experience, as they grow older. So
right.
I don't know. Those kind of comments it put you in like a weird vibe, just a negative. How do you think? Should I move? Should I not move? Should I just accept it? I don't know. It's just weird.
I don't take too much stock in the comments of like, oh, just take me now. I don't, if a nuclear war happens, I'll sit on the roof and let it come. It's like, okay, well, like I said, your 9-year-old who's in the house probably won't have the same attitude as you. So,
exactly.
Do you have the right to make that decision for him or her or them? I don't even want to go there, but
yeah,
poking the bear.
Like I said, that's what I've been watching. That's what I've been watching instead of actual current events and that kind of stuff. But I did watch Ben's live Q&A, and it's so funny how salty he gets for some of the comments that are made in there now.
Yeah, he does.
He wore a USA shirt that's just like Proud USA, and somebody's like, oh, look at that MAGA Trump supporter, and he's like, this has nothing to do. It's United States of America.
This is America, people. Yeah, it's like some Twitter thing I watched the other day. It was a pride event, whatever. So, a pride event is the LGBTQIA plus minus divided by whatever. And there's this guy who was arguing about burning the American flag. And there was some immigrant. It was a glorious exchange of words. So this guy who was like yelling, burn the flag, some immigrant who got here legally, went through the entire process, have been here, way back in the day, went through the legal process, has been he was an immigrant from, where was it? Not Somalia, but somewhere over in that side of the continental world. He said, so it's okay if you yell, burn my flag, and you burn the the American flag. But if I burn your pride flag, somehow I'm racist and all this stuff for wanting to burn your pride flag. And, he goes, this is America. Like, he just went into this whole thing, and it's very calm, not yelling. Mm-hmm. This other person was screaming at the dude. And the immigrant who was an American citizen holding the flag, just like, listen, this is America. This flag stands for something. Your pride flag that stands for literally nothing, whatever you believe in, it stands for that. But, the fact that you could say you can burn my nation's flag with no repercussions, and for me to say I will burn your pride flag and then you're going to label me as like a terrorist
and burn your house down.
Yeah. Terrorist. I'm going to, what's like, where's the hypocrisy there? It was great. So I don't want to get into the whole pride thing and LGBTQIA stuff, but it's a really good Twitter exchange that I saw. I was watching the PBD podcast and he brought that up and he played this like clip and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so great. But it lended to and reminded me of the division in America and how divided we are. And it's just going to keep how much of, there's no center anymore. It's literally like you're on this side or you're on this side. And it just keeps getting wide. The separation just keeps getting wider and wider and wider. And nobody has come forward that is an influential figure that says, hey, let's do what we can to bring people back to center. But we see history kind of in the making, the repeats of history. You watch Ray Dalio's Rise and Fall of Empires. You watch all these different historical videos of how societies, different civilizations rise and fall. We're literally playing that playbook in real time, and nobody's like seeing it because everybody's so stuck in the here and now. And those are the things that sometimes I come back to and that really concern me. Like, yes, nuclear war with Russia and all this other stuff, like, it's concerning. The solar flares, yes, it's concerning. It's stuff that could happen. There's a possibility of it happening. The solar flare is gonna happen. Like that's in stone. Like it's gonna happen at some point. It's a matter of when. But as far as the division goes, we're literally reliving a repeat of something that's happened hundreds of times before with civilizations, empires that rise and fall, and it's the same every stinking time.
I mean, it's by design. There's no, it's not being taught in the schools anymore.
No.
Those certain kind of classes are being stripped from education because they don't want you to know that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
But that stuff has happened. That same thing has happened before with with X, Y, and Z civilization from 300 years ago. It started, it started with the rise of the great nations, and there was war and all that stuff. When that settled, then this nation rose, and eventually this society evolved and all that. And then there's a divide, and then people started taking certain things out of education and all that. And then that society fell and a new power rise up. It's just this endless stinking cycle that happens over and over and over and over and over again. And outside of everything else we're kind of preparing for, there's that quiet little thing of social society that is day by day by day, little by little by little, breaking down to a point where at some point it's going to come to a breaking point. And I bet you, if you go back every civilization for thousands of years, and you asked an individual back then, hey, do you think this can happen? They're like, oh no, this will never happen to our civilization. This will never happen to our country because we are the greatest, richest, most smartest, powerful country in the world. This will never happen. They would say the same thing. So that's not doom and gloom. I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer on that one, but it is something that people need to start raising awareness of, like, dude, this division, like, can we just like all be nice to each other for a little bit?
There needs to be, to your point, there needs to be conversation. Not
can we have conversation without like threatening everybody's lives? Like,
exactly. I saw a bumper sticker the other day saying "Make America Grateful Again," and I was like, man, there you go.
That's good.
Like, just being grateful for what we have. People don't know what they have because they've been living in it for how long, and they just think that they deserve everything in the world, but really have no clue. So
I like that.
Seeing that was like a really good eye opener.
Yeah, I like that. Make America grateful again.
I like that.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
Yes.
But all right. Wow, it's been an hour.
Man, it goes by so fast.
It does go by fast.
Well, good chat. I'm glad we got to do this podcast tonight and catch up on the last month of not meeting together to do it. But
month of stuff.
Like we said, it's summertime. We've got a lot of trips and coaching and baseball. I mean, kids' activities, all that kind of stuff. So
I do want to do a deep dive at one point in the next couple podcasts. I do want to do a more of a deeper dive of how we are changing our bags, like our get home bags.
Oh, that's a good one.
I haven't taken any of the winter stuff out. So like, I want to take do it live, take the winter stuff out. Okay. This is what I had for winter. Sure. Throw that over here. What do I need for the summertime? Like, what are some of the different things? Just talk through that and how we would pack it and all that stuff. Cause that was that was the more listened to episodes. I think people really got something out of that last one. We started talking about the get home bags the first time. And I think now that the seasons change, we can really start talking about, okay, we can get rid of the winter crap. We can start bringing in the summer stuff. What does that look like? And we can have the bags on the table and just start rifling through, taking notes and things that we pack in these things.
I think it's because it's manageable, right? It's a scenario that somebody can focus on and do.
Yeah.
When we talk about prepping for water or food or this or that, that's a big task. Coming together and getting what water containers do I get and how do I set up my collection and how do I tie it together and get pumps? That's a lot of work. But a bag, I can go buy a bag and stuff it with some stuff and call it a day. I can go out and buy a knife if I know here's the type of brands that are good or not good. Yeah. Should it have a full I'm gonna forget the words, but metal full throughout the handle, or is it just something that opens and closes? Full tang, is that the word? But anyways, I think the bag is a good piece that anybody can do. So let's do it. We could probably do that for the next podcast or one after that.
It'd take some coordination. I mean, I don't know if we could do it for this Maybe we would do it for this Thursday. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We could talk about it offline, and if you guys are watching, there's been consistent,
and one other thing, a person actually commented on my last podcast, saying that they would like to know more details about expiration dates on cans and that kind of stuff. So if you have a bunch of food supply and you've got canned goods, when does it actually expire?
They never expire. Don't even worry about it.
Exactly. And that's what I said. But a lot of people don't know what, when I see the expiration date that says I'm 2 days past my date, I throw it away.
Yeah. Oh,
that's the kind of stuff that people don't know, because it's been how many years of that trying to be ingrained in us to never have anything past the expiration date, even though we know if it still tastes good, if it still smells good, and if it's in a cool, dark place, it's going to last a long time. So that cool, might be something else that we could talk about.
Yeah, it'll last a long time as far as we personally, if I see a can that's expiring, I'm just going to throw it in the freeze jar anyway. But people don't have freeze jars. Not a lot of people have freeze jars, so it's no big deal. But we'll get into all that. But that's a good one. That's a good comment about expiration dates and food and all that other stuff. But no, I'm excited about this next season. We're in summertime, so we're kind of gearing towards summertime stuff. As far as preparedness goes, we'll start hitting on all the other seasons or all the other things that deal with that. But this is kind of just a let's get back into gear episode. And for those of you guys still watching, it really helps us out. Like, comment, subscribe to the channels. Like I said, if you have any questions, we do like this to be engaging, so you can go ahead and comment on this video. Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Or you guys are absolutely freaking nuts. I hate you. It's fine. We don't care.
So we keep doing what we want to do.
There's other places you can go. So, in any case, thanks for sticking with us, guys. Let me find my slide, and we'll I don't know. We'll see you again. Maybe on Thursday. Maybe on next Tuesday. It's summertime, so who knows? But yeah. Until next time, guys.
Great chatting with everybody.
Yeah, it's great chatting with everybody. You guys take it easy. Have a good one. Be safe, and we will see you on the next one.